Hi everyone, I'm just going to give a few thoughts for the scripture for Saturday. And so we've gone through this week with the Gospel of Mark, and we're now entered back into saying the Angeles, because now we've done with the 50 days of Easter. And so when we building up to this gospel, what we've seen Jesus performing miracles. If you read through the Gospel of Mark, performing miracles, we've had the healing of Bartimaeus, the blind man. We've had Jesus having the crowds follow him. We've had the cleansing in the temple, and now we see his authority being questioned. So if you enter into that scene, imagine yourself in that scene, and you are there, and you've come into Jerusalem with Jesus, and you're walking in the temple, and the chief priests and the elders and the scribes, they come up to him and they question his authority. That who is he to act like this? Who is he to do the things that he's doing? And I'm paraphrasing. And Jesus asks them, by whose authority? He questions them back. He doesn't give them an answer back, because he knows that they already know. They know. The disciples are the ones who are always doubting, who are always saying, well, he did that, we've just seen this miracle, we've seen this, we've seen that, but not really believing. But the elders, the scribes, the chief priests, they already know. And so Jesus doesn't allow them to trap him. He doesn't allow them to rattle his cage, so to speak. Because he asks them, he says in the scriptures, Jesus said to them, I will ask you a question, only one, answer me, and I will tell you my authority for acting like this. John's baptism, did it come from heaven or from man? Answer me that. And so they don't want to answer him, because they know that people trusted John as a prophet, and if they say it's from man, then they're going to be challenged. If they say it's from God, it's going to be blasphemy. So then Jesus gives them an answer in an indirect way. They argued it out this way among themselves. If we say from heaven, he will say, then why did you refuse to believe him? But dare we say from man? They had the people to fear, for everyone held that John was a real prophet. So their reply to Jesus was, we don't know. And Jesus said to them, nor will I tell you my authority for acting like this. Because he knows that they already know. And he's been with them, he's been in the temple, he's been somebody that has been trained up by them in the temple. He's known to them. He's a known rabbi to them. So, too, with our faith, we have our foundation. That is our foundation for building our lives, for making our decisions. And all of us have that same foundation in the church. You can go to school to learn, to question, to see different viewpoints, to learn from other people, from scholars. But all of us who have grown up in the Christian tradition, in homes that have faith in them, who have gone to like children's liturgies or children's programs for our faith after school, whether it was on Saturdays or we went through the rites of Christian initiation before we got our confirmation. All of us have been schooled in the scriptures, taught how to read them, taught how to understand them, taught how to interpret them. You don't have to go to the university to get that. It's nice if you can, and if you can do it. But when you go there, they actually are wanting to see What do you know? What did you understand of the scriptures? And so for us, the scripture is a confirmation that each of us already has that foundation. Each of us already has that knowledge. And the priests, the scribes, and the elders, they knew who Jesus was. So imagine that scene unfolding before your eyes. You're with him and you're going into that temple. And imagine that scene unfolding, because now they're not treating him like he's still being formed, he's still being developed, he's still being nurtured. They're treating him like an equal. And they're questioning him and they want an answer. And sometimes for us who come to these countries, we don't expect that, because we come from a different culture where you are nurtured, you are held, you are given the supports in place. And especially if you've come out of the good schools, the education system, you're not treated like how people here treat you. You're not questioned. You're not treated harshly. They treat you very harshly here. So it's a very different experience, and there are many people who come fleeing persecution like I did. I mean, I came here because I was fleeing the political upheaval in Zimbabwe. If things were okay there, I wouldn't have come here. I would have just gone back, isn't it? So when I came here, instead of getting the minimum wage jobs and the jobs that I'm getting now, I got the good jobs. And I was treated harshly. I was treated like, well, yeah, you're an educated person, and there was very little hand-holding, and I was paid very poorly. And it's a very hard road to travel. So when there are people who are migrants, there are people who are illegal, it's not fair to say, well, we need the illegal people, just leave them, that's how the economy grows. It's not, because they are being abused, their rights are being taken away. Some of them, I've been to town halls, invited to town halls by the Liberals when Marco Mendocino first got elected in this area, and I heard horror stories. And it's fine and for other people to say, well, it's happening to them. So we are okay, we got our houses, we got our jobs, but it's not happening to them, it's happening to us. It's happening to us, and it's not just happening to Filipinos and, visible minorities. I've worked with people, even in my present work, where even citizens, they're getting raped in the workplace, they're being told, don't play hard to get. And even to me, it's happened even to me. I get filthy text messages when I advertise to say that I'm looking for cleaning jobs or I'm an executive assistant. I get horrible text messages saying that, oh, we'll pay you extra for sex if you come and clean. Those are very inappropriate messages when you're dealing with somebody that's educated, somebody that's lost their job through no fault of their own. And it's not only for me, even if somebody is not educated. In our Christian tradition, we believe that you should protect those who are vulnerable. You should protect those who are more in need of that support. And yet the opposite is happening. And those women stood up, and many of them, time after time, they said, when we go to the police say there's no evidence. Even if they take videos or whatever, they say we can't do anything with this. So we have to know our foundation, but we also have to know the world that we're living in. And that's where the first reading comes in, where it tells us that where there are some who have doubts, reassure them. When there are some to be saved from the fire, pull them out. But there are others whom you must be kind with great caution, keeping your distance even from outside clothing, which is contaminated by vice. And to pray for that protection for us, because there's a lot of Christian persecution that goes on in this world. Not only overseas. People think it happens only in Nigeria or other places. It happens here. It happens in Toronto. So for me, the scripture is about knowing our foundations and knowing that we have the scriptures to comfort us, to nurture us. But it doesn't mean that it didn't shake me up. It doesn't mean that it didn't hurt me. It doesn't mean that it didn't make me fearful for my life. I'm not the only one that's going through it. Many of us, the police even show videos of how people put glasses on their doors so that if they pull that handle, when they're trying to come in, that glass will fall and it will break and it will wake people up. These things are not just happening overseas in Africa, they're happening here. They're happening here. And it's even happened to me. People will say, even some of the priests, they'll say, if you are a spiritual director, they know full well that I'm a spiritual director. They know full well that I'm Catholic. So these things, they happen even today. They happen even today. Or you'll get somebody else that's new to the parish and they don't like something you did, so they'll challenge you when they'll have you removed from things, and the parish priest will have very little say in it. So it happens even today. But we know that it happened to Christ first. And we know that our foundation is in the Lord. And that's what I want to share from the scriptures today. Because when we know that the Lord is with us, we can pray, we can take action, and that's how the changes come about. That's how it happens. Because for me, I will never be fully accepted as a Canadian. I'm always treated like I'm a second-class citizen. It's like, well, that's the policy. But if it's a white person, they might treat them differently. They might say, okay, let's see what we can do. We know that's the policy, but let's see what we can do. Not always, but normally that's what happens. And I've even met men in the workplace who have been raped. And they're like, what's the point? You take it to the courts and everywhere, and at the end of it, you're very lucky if you get $200. People don't report anymore because the big companies control everything in this country. And it's even come out in the reports that they're making now, that the reason that America is flourishing is because they support small businesses. They have more small businesses. They have people employed in small businesses. Here, it's all the big companies that control everything. Even if you look at the banks, people move from one bank to the next bank. And if you don't get that door opening for you, or if you and your boss never had a good relationship when you were working, those doors don't open. They don't open. Why do you think I couldn't get another job in banking? Because there was a conflict. There was a personality difference. I was working for a French Canadian at TD, and there was a difference in how I approach things coming from the English-speaking world and from the British culture compared to how he approached things. And there was a conflict. I used to sit in people's offices and cry. That's why I never got anything after that. I was fortunate that, yes, other people took me in. They gave me opportunities in Regis College, in other banks, but that was the end of that career for me. And then even then, they said to me, okay, we'll get you into HR. I said, you want to get me into HR and support that same team? You must be kidding. So we have to also understand our place in this culture. And it's the same barriers that Jesus faced, because he was living in the Roman culture, and the priests and the chief priests and the scribes would not have been happy with him for cleansing the temple and having people follow him and all the things that he was doing. They would not have been happy because they wanted to do those things. And they wanted the prestige, and they wanted to have people supporting them. And here comes this outsider. As usual in the scriptures, Jesus is using this example. God is working through the outsider, but that outsider is actually the insider. It's actually the one with the lineage to the kingship. So this is how the scriptures work. And over time, when there's enough immigrants and there's enough of a different culture, it changes. That's how things like slavery came to an end. But there's slavery here in Canada. There's slavery, and the UN knows it. Don't think it's happening somewhere else. It's happening here. And when it starts happening to you and to your families, you'll believe me. It's an awful feeling to go through. It's awful. And that's why our faith and our foundation is so important.